Hi, I'm making this video to try to explain why I'm so eager for students who are even beginners to get familiar with the open G tuning. Actually, I'm going to use two guitars on this video. This guitar has got the standard tuning, and I've got another steel string guitar which will be in open G, so that I don't waste too much time tuning and retuning. Now, one of the reasons actually I want beginners to start getting familiar with open G is that it's a great tuning, but also it avoids some of the frustrations when you begin to play the guitar. So when you start playing the guitar, you've got to learn a number of chords, and even if you take simple keys like C, the key of C, you start. Okay, the first chord in the key of C is not the easiest, to be perfectly honest. You've got 3 fingers and quite a stretch. The second one is quite difficult as well. It's even more difficult, I think, whether you play it like this or like this. Okay, so I tend to try and teach my students to play the D minor 7th. But strictly speaking, this is the D minor. The E minor is the easiest one, fair enough. But then when you get to the F, that's it, you start hitting difficulties. You can't do bar chords when you first start, but even these small bars, on 2 strings are quite difficult. Then we go to the G, okay, the 5th chord of the scale, of the C major scale, and that's quite a stretch if you look at this, okay? And then, okay, fair enough, the A minor is easy. So we've got 2 easy chords in the key of C, which is the A minor and the E minor. Okay, and then you get to the diminished chord, B diminished. So even the key of C, which is reasonably basic, has got some difficulties. You're quite limited in the number of chords that you can learn in a very, very short time. So let's take the key of G. Okay, might be a bit easier, but the first chord is already quite a challenge, quite a stretch here. The second chord is A minor, okay, fair enough. Third one, here we are, we're hitting the first difficulties, because you need a bar here to do the B minor chord. Okay, now the fourth chord is the C, let's say average difficulty, but still not the easiest chord. Afterwards we've got the D or the D7, but both of these actually are not the easiest chords for a real beginner, just a few days into the guitar. Okay, so D, E minor. Okay, E minor is easier. Okay, and then we've got the F sharp diminished. Okay, so this is just to demonstrate that when you are starting the guitar, you start hitting difficulties actually quite soon. But unfortunately, you have to learn these difficult chords in order to progress in the guitars. There's no 2 ways around it. On the other hand, if you had the possibility to start playing songs immediately, within days, I think it can encourage you to progress in the guitar, in the standard tuning. You can learn your standard chords, you have to keep practicing those, but you can have fun on different tuning, which has chords which are a lot easier. Actually, let me demonstrate. I'll take a simple song. It's a Bob Dylan song that I like a lot, and that goes a little bit like this. I'm going to play it in G, just for demonstration. Called Simple Twist of Fate, and the chords are approximate. Actually, I'm not trying to be accurate, but I'm just showing you that this is quite a challenge of a song, because you've got a G chord, G major 7, G7, C minor, okay, which is C minor. I mean, some of these chords are not in the key of G, the standard major scale. This is one of them, the C minor chord, but it's important for this song. And then we go back to something a little bit more standard, but you can see that a beginner cannot play a song like this, not on this standard tuning. I'm going to switch guitars and show you that a beginner can play a song like this quite easily. Yeah? So let me show you. So this guitar is tuned in open G. I hope the tuning is not too bad actually. I don't want to... Okay, and the song that I've just played for you, the Bob Dylan Simple Twist of Fate, becomes something completely different in open G. So watch, I'm using one finger here. So the principle of open G is that when you play the strings, open strings, you have a G chord. So G major chord, which consists of G, B and D, 3 notes. It's a triad, it's got 3 notes, and this is a chord. So I don't need my left hand actually to play the G chord. Okay, I can start playing straight away. I can play a G sus chord just with one finger. So I can already actually start playing tunes and singing, okay, with simple sort of strumming. Okay. However, even a difficult song like Simple Twist of Fate, let me show you how what it becomes in the key in open G tuning. Watch this. So. We've got 3 chords here that only use one finger, and see how easy they are, and see how nice the sound is actually. So we're not compromising on the sound, that you've got a really beautiful okay, so this is, we got to the G7th, and then we want to go to the C. The C is easier as well. Although it uses 2 fingers, okay, not 3, you cannot play the C as you do in normal tuning. This is the C. And watch this. The C minor is 10 times easier, okay? You don't need to play a bar chord. It's a 2-finger chord. And it sounds absolutely beautiful, okay? For a simple twist of fate. Okay, this is possibly the hardest chord, but the hardest chord is not really all that hard because it looks like an E minor, but with this finger on the 2nd string here. So here we are, we've got a reasonably difficult song that even a beginner actually can try and start learning and tackling. They sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark tingle to his bones. 'Twas then he felt alone and wished that he'd gone straight and watched out for a simple twist of fate. People tell me it's a sin to know and feel too much within, but I believe she was my twin, but I lost her ring. She was born in spring, but I was born too late. Blame it on the simple twist of fate. Now when you play these, you have to try to avoid playing the bottom string. The D string is not really useful in this particular song. Okay, so you hit the 5 strings below it, okay, or above it. Another song actually from the same album, it's called, so that was Simple Twist of Fate, Bob Dylan, from Blood on the Tracks, and this is another one from Blood on the Tracks, the album. I've seen love go by my door, it's never been this close before. Never been so easy or so slow. I've been shooting in the dark too long. When something's not right, it's wrong. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go. Okay, now you can use a capo, of course, in open G. I'll put my capo. I usually sing this song with the capo on 5, I think. Okay, so you apply the same principle. You start on the 5th fret from where the capo starts, actually, which is the 10th fret here. I've seen love go by my door. It's never been this close before. Never been so easy or so slow. I've been shooting in the dark too long. When something's not right, it's wrong. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go. So you see, I've adjusted for my voice in order to be able to play the song. So you can use the capo, of course, with an open tuning. So this is a lovely song, and it shows you how easy. Flowers on the hillside blooming crazy. Crickets talking back and forth in rhyme. River running slow and lazy. I could stay with you forever and never realize the time. Situations have ended sad, relationships have all been bad. Mine have been like the lanes and Rambo. Okay, the other thing you can do with open G is play things like Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi, using the open G chord here, and then the C on the 5th fret and the D on the 7th fret. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. This is very easy to do. And there's other things you can do with open G. You can play slide. Okay, so you can see the possibilities are really, really great. Now, will that affect the practice in the standard tuning? It's up to the student, really. The student really needs to divide their times, because actually you could easily get lazy and learn just a few simple chords here and play hundreds of songs. This is, I guess, the risk. But on the other hand, I mean, if you have found a way to play hundreds of songs, it's not such a bad thing. But really, the standard tuning is a great tuning, and you really need to learn it. Ideally, you want to be able to switch between these two, or between different open tunings and the standard tuning. So you mustn't let your practice fall. You must really practice your standard tuning as well as the songs that you're learning in open tuning. It was Joni Mitchell who introduced me to this tuning in her song Little Green, which born with the moon in Cancer, choose her a name she'll answer to. Call her green and the winters cannot fade her. Call her green for the children who made her. Little green, be a gypsy dancer. So you can see something like this in an open tuning. Sounds absolutely beautiful, and the shapes are not bad at all, actually. Now, tuning the guitar is not the easiest thing. I have to admit, I think this is one of the difficulties for beginners, is tuning the guitar in going from the standard tuning to the open G tuning when you've never tuned a guitar before. Is not the easiest thing, but it's worth practicing, because there are only 3 strings that are changing. Let me take the other guitar. You need to memorize the names of the open strings in the standard tuning. This is the minimum really that you need to do when you start playing the guitar. So this is the E string, the top string, E, B, G, D, A, and E. So once you've memorized these, and if you remember, I mentioned the fact that the open G tuning is a G major chord, and the G major chord consists of a G, a B, and a D. You just need to remember that, actually. You'll understand that later if you study the chord composition and all that. So you need to get this tuning to only have G's, B's, and D's, basically. Okay? But you don't want to stretch strings out, so we don't want to go up in pitch. We want to go down in pitch, okay? Because we don't want to break the strings. Some open tunings will force you to take the pitch up. In this case, actually, the open G tuning, all the strings that change, they change down. Okay, so that's reassuring. So what happens here is that the E has to change because it's not part of the G chord. So the E will naturally go to D. It needs to go down to D. And what I normally do actually is I play the D. Of course you can use an electronic tuner, but in time you may want to actually use other tricks that don't require a tuner, and you can find a D here on the second string, which is a B string. It's B, C, C sharp, D, and you want this string to sound like this. Okay, so you can see these two are now sounding the same, or very close. Okay, so you've already got actually part of your guitar tuned to the open G. The other string that needs to change, that is not either a G, a B, or a D, is this A string. Okay, and this A string will naturally go to a G, go down to a G. Now, where do we find the G? There is a G here. The third string is a G. So I'm going to bring this down. Now, they're not the same note, they're an octave apart. So already we've got our guitar actually partially in open G. There is one more string that needs to change, which is the bottom string, which is an E. And if you remember, we took an E already down to D. This one is the same, it's got to go down to D. So we take there's a D here already. Okay, and you've got a guitar in open G. So we've only changed the two E strings have gone down to D, and the A string has gone down to G. So really it's that easy to change into the open G tune. And there you are, we've got a guitar. This is my nylon string guitar now in open G, and I can play. There you are. This is why I think that open G tuning should be learned very, very early, because it can really get you going, singing songs, playing songs, etc., and doing a lot of experimentation. Actually, it's a very interesting tuning to experiment with. As I showed you, you can just play melodies around, without having to worry too much. things like that. Okay, so good luck. Huh?